Going back to work after having my baby was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I cried in the parking lot before my first shift. I pumped in a storage closet. And I felt like I was failing at both being a mom and being a doctor. Today, I'm sharing everything I wish I'd known before returning to work. The emotional preparation, the logistics, and how to survive those first few weeks. Because this transition is brutal, but you can get through it. Hey everyone, I'm Diana, and welcome back to Sweet Pregnant. I'm a doctor specializing in women's health, and I'm a mom of 3. And here's what I want to say right up front. Returning to work after maternity leave is emotionally devastating for many women, and we don't talk about it enough. There's this expectation that you should just bounce back, drop your baby at daycare, and resume your career like nothing happened. But everything has changed. You've changed. Your priorities have shifted. And leaving your baby feels impossible. So today, I'm being completely honest about what this transition is really like, how to prepare practically and emotionally, and how to navigate the guilt, exhaustion, and overwhelm. Let's start with the decision itself. First, let's acknowledge that for many women, returning to work isn't a choice. Financial necessity means you have to go back, and the United States has shamefully inadequate maternity leave policies compared to other developed countries. Typical maternity leave in the U.S., 6 to 12 weeks if you're lucky, often unpaid or partially paid through disability. Some women get just 6 weeks. 6 weeks to heal from birth, establish breastfeeding, bond with your baby, and then return to work. It's not enough. But it's the reality for millions of women. Other countries for comparison: Canada, 12 to 18 months paid. UK, up to a year, partially paid. Sweden, 16 months paid. We're one of the only developed countries without mandatory paid parental leave. It's shameful. If you have a choice about when to return, some women feel ready at 12 weeks. Others need 6 months or longer. There's no right answer. It depends on your financial situation, your career, your mental health, and your baby. My experience: with my first baby, I went back at 12 weeks. It felt too soon, but financially we needed my income. With my second, I negotiated 6 months. That felt better, but still hard. With my third, I transitioned to part-time. Each decision was right for that season of life. Whatever you decide, give yourself permission to feel conflicted. You can want to go back to work and also want to stay home with your baby. Both feelings can coexist. Finding quality, affordable childcare is one of the biggest stresses of returning to work, and it's expensive. Shockingly expensive. Childcare options, daycare center, pros, license in regulated structured programs, socialization with other babies, multiple caregivers so there's always coverage. Cons, expensive, often $1,000 to $2,000 plus per month. Exposure to every illness circulating, less flexible hours, waiting lists. In-home daycare, pros, smaller group, home environment, often cheaper than centers. Cons, less regulated, might close if the provider is sick or on vacation. Nanny or au pair. Pros, one-on-one care, flexible in your home, less illness exposure. Cons, very expensive. You're an employer. Taxes, benefits, need a backup plan if nanny is sick. Family member. Pros, trust, usually cheaper or free, flexible. Cons, potential boundary issues, different parenting styles, may feel obligated or guilty. When to start looking, ideally during your second trimester. Good daycares have waiting lists that are months long. I know it feels early to think about daycare when you're still pregnant, but trust me, start early. What to look for? Visit in person. How do the caregivers interact with the children? Do the kids seem happy? Ask about staff-to-child ratios. For infants, you want low ratios. Check licensing and safety records. Ask about their policies, sick days, holidays, late pickup fees. Trust your gut. If something feels off, keep looking. Cost. Childcare is often one of the biggest household expenses, sometimes rivaling or exceeding rent/mortgage. Run the numbers. For some families, the cost of childcare is so high that one parent staying home makes more financial sense. But also factor in career trajectory, benefits, retirement contributions, and personal fulfillment. It's not just about the immediate math. If you're breastfeeding, returning to work adds another layer of complexity. Your legal rights in the U.S. Under the Affordable Care Act, employers are required to provide reasonable break time to pump, as often as needed, typically every 2 to 3 hours. A private space to pump, not a bathroom. This applies to employers with 50+ employees. Smaller employers are exempt, unfortunately. Setting up pumping at work. Before you return, talk to your HR department or manager about where you'll pump and when. Scope out the pumping room. Is it private? Does it have a chair, outlet, small table? Some workplaces have dedicated lactation rooms. Others offer whatever private space is available. I pumped in an empty office, a storage closet, and once in my car. Do what you have to do. What you'll need: a good breast pump. Double electric is fastest. Multiple sets of pump parts so you can pump several times before washing. A cooler bag with ice packs to store milk. Milk storage bags or bottles. A hands-free pumping bra so you can work or scroll your phone while pumping. Pumping schedule. Most women pump 2 to 3 times during an 8-hour workday. Each session takes about 15 to 20 minutes. Block it on your calendar like a meeting. Protect that time. Maintaining milk supply. Pumping is less effective than nursing, so some women supply drops when they return to work. What helps? Pump consistently, drink lots of water, eat enough calories, pump while looking at a photo of your baby or smelling their blanket. Seriously, it helps with letdown. If your supply drops, you can supplement with formula. That's okay. The emotional difficulty. Pumping at work is isolating. You're sitting alone in a room, hooked up to a machine, thinking about your baby. It's hard not to cry sometimes. When I started pumping at work, I felt like a dairy cow. I resented the time it took. But I also felt proud that I was providing for my baby even when we were apart. It's complicated. Transitioning away from pumping. When you're ready to stop, you can wean gradually or quit cold turkey depending on your supply and comfort. With my first baby, I pumped until 9 months. With my second, I stopped at 6 months and switched to formula. Both decisions were right for those circumstances. Let's talk about the emotions, because this is where it gets really hard. The guilt is crushing. You feel guilty for leaving your baby. You feel guilty for not being fully present at work because you're thinking about your baby. You feel guilty for wanting to go back to work. You feel guilty for being relieved when you drop your baby off and have adult conversations again. Mom guilt is relentless. And here's what I want you to hear. The guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you care deeply about both your baby and your work. That's not a flaw. That's being human. The grief is real. You're grieving the time you won't get back with your baby. You're grieving the version of yourself that existed before you became a mom. You're grieving the fantasy of what maternity leave or early motherhood was supposed to be. Grief is a normal response to loss, and returning to work after maternity leave involves loss. Separation anxiety, yours, not just the baby's. For the first few weeks, you might cry every time you drop your baby off. You'll check your phone constantly for updates from daycare. You'll rush out the door at the end of the day to get back to them. This is normal. It gets easier with time. The baby is usually fine. This is hard to hear, but your baby will likely adjust faster than you will. Babies are resilient. They bond with caregivers. They adapt to routines. That's good news, even though it might sting a little. Advice that helped me. A friend told me, "You're not leaving your baby. You're providing for your baby." Going to work means your baby has food, shelter, health care, and a parent who models that women can have careers and families. That reframe helped. You're allowed to struggle. If you're crying every day, if you can't focus at work, if you're having intrusive thoughts about something bad happening to your baby, talk to someone. Your doctor, a therapist, your partner, a trusted friend. Postpartum depression and anxiety can peak when you return to work because of the stress and transition. Get help if you need it. Now let's talk about how to actually survive those first few weeks back. Start slow if possible. If you can, return midweek instead of Monday. A 3-day first week is easier than a 5-day week. Or start part-time for the first week or two if your employer allows it. Do a trial run. A week or two before you return, do a practice run. Wake up at your work time. Get yourself and the baby ready. Drop the baby at daycare or with the caregiver. Go somewhere for a few hours. This helps you identify problems before your actual first day. Prepare the night before. Lay out your clothes. Pack your bag and the diaper bag. Prep breakfast or lunch. Mornings are chaos. Reduce decisions. Lower your standards everywhere else. Your house will be messier. You'll eat more takeout. Laundry will pile up. That's fine. You're in survival mode. Communicate with your employer. Be clear about your pumping schedule and protect that time. If you need flexibility for pediatrician appointments or sick days, have that conversation early. Build a support system. You need backup childcare for when the baby or caregiver is sick. You need a partner who shares the load, if you have one. You need friends or family who understand what you're going through. Set boundaries. You don't have to stay late every day to prove you're committed. You don't have to answer emails at 9 p.m. from your phone while rocking the baby. Set boundaries that protect your time with your baby and your own sanity. Batch and simplify. Meal prep on weekends. Use grocery delivery. Accept that you can't do everything. Make the mornings and evenings special. Those are your times with your baby. Put your phone away. Be fully present. Quality time matters more than quantity. Check in with yourself. How are you really doing? Not fine. Really. If this isn't working, it's okay to make changes. Different job, different hours, different childcare. Nothing is permanent. I also want to acknowledge, some women decide not to return to work. Maybe the cost of childcare eats your entire salary. Maybe you realize you don't want to miss this time with your baby. Maybe your mental health is suffering and you need to step away from work. Staying home is a valid choice. It's not giving up. It's not wasting your degree. It's choosing what's best for your family right now. It's also hard. Being a stay-at-home parent is isolating, exhausting, and often undervalued. You lose income, career momentum, and adult interaction. But you gain time with your child, flexibility, and the ability to be fully present during these early years. There's no perfect choice. Working moms and stay-at-home moms both face challenges. The grass is always greener. What matters? Making the choice that's right for your family, your finances, your mental health, and your values, and knowing that you can change your mind later. I went back to work after all 3 babies, but I switched to part-time after my 3rd because full-time was too much. Your life can evolve. Here's what I want you to remember. Returning to work after maternity leave is one of the hardest transitions you'll go through. It's emotionally brutal. It's logistically complicated. And it's normal to feel completely overwhelmed. The first few weeks are the worst. It gets easier. Not easy, but easier. You'll find a rhythm. Your baby will adjust. You'll stop crying in the parking lot, or at least cry less often. You're not failing. You're not failing as a mother because you're working. You're not failing as an employee because you're thinking about your baby. You're doing the best you can in an impossible situation. Your baby will be okay. They'll thrive. They'll love their caregivers. They'll be happy to see you at the end of the day. And one day, sooner than you think, they'll be in school and you'll barely remember this phase. Take care of yourself. Ask for help. Lower your standards. Protect your boundaries. You can't pour from an empty cup. And know this, whatever you decide, you're a good mom. Working or staying home. Breastfeeding or formula. Daycare or nanny. You're doing what you need to do for your family. That's enough. If this video helped you feel less alone, hit that subscribe button. My next video is all about sex after baby and when it actually gets better. Drop a comment. Are you going back to work, staying home, or still deciding? Let's support each other. You're going to get through this. One day at a time. I'll see you in the next one.